Thank you for listening to the Flying High Club podcast in association with the World Aviation Festival 2024 in Amsterdam. We've been delighted to be able to bring you this, and it wouldn't have been possible without our sponsors, Flyware. Flyware are experts in aviation and travel space, providing tech outsourcing services focused on increasing revenue and making your operations more efficient. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to bring you what we are bringing you today. And more importantly, what we need you to do is, if you want to find out more about Flyware, please check the caption below for more details. Thank you for subscribing and keep following us. Keep flying high. Welcome everyone, the Flying High Club podcast here with you at World Aviation Festival 2024. We are wrapping up, and actually we're really pleased to invite a previous guest with us from the show, a friend of the show, Ben Sehovic from Opfyx.
Thank you very much. Very good, very good. Nice to be back.
Yeah, I know. So you've been busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Since we last had you.
Well, it feels like a lifetime ago, but a lot has happened. Yeah. So we have launched our first solution. So we have been going to market, trying to secure our first client, and we worked on our role-based communications platform to try and revolutionize the way operational teams communicate with each other, both within a company but also outside. So we have launched with that and are looking forward to hopefully getting one of our first launch customers testing this and proving this in 2025.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I saw when I came over, you've got the live prototype now that you can actually show. I know that was your key focus over the last few months. So yeah, we spoke, late spring. So yep. Since then, what have you been up to?
So firstly, we've been talking to a lot of potential clients, hearing exactly where their frustrations and pain points are. We were really acutely aware not to just build a product and then try and sell it, because of course everyone's got slightly different requirements and issues that they're trying to solve. So we spent a bit of time, in essence, doing some market research to see where is the kind of launch solution going to be, so we can make sure we're investing our time on the right things, and then spending the rest of the time really making sure that what we're creating is going to be scalable, is going to be enterprise, everything from cybersecurity, in essence all the foundations that have to be there for a really robust product to actually be on the market. So we've done that. We've done some of our own kind of internal trials to make sure that it's fit, getting it ready really for the World Aviation Festival as well, and in essence getting it in a place that it is out of the box ready, both from those companies that want to trial it, that have zero integrations, that don't want any tech involvement, they want a low touch approach, but also ready for those who are keen to do something a bit more advanced and in depth and have it fully integrated with their existing platforms.
And how's entrepreneurship going since then? It's always tough, isn't it, when you're actually building the tech, selling the tech, running the business?
It has been tough, and the best way to describe it is like a roller coaster. So you'll have your ups and downs. For some reason, I don't know why, but things seem to happen in like tranches. So one day you'll have 3 things of bad news. 2 weeks later, you'll have 3 things of good news. So it's a very, very, very roller coaster journey. Also very hard because you're sort of getting great traction with one part of a business, and then you end up with inevitable questions from the procurement teams and the tech teams. Where have you done this before? What are your credentials? And you are sort of
limited.
Limited.
Yeah.
And of course, trying to find the right environment. The timing's got to be right. The company's got to have the right problem that we're trying to solve as well. At the same time, they've got to accept kind of a startup which is perceived to be higher risk, although. My view is actually that's the best way to innovate. So it has been tough.
Yeah, but I think you should take away, I know you've been having the conversation, we've certainly been having them here. The operation, as much as a World Aviation Festival, actually, one of the big highlights is about revenue optimization and things like that we're seeing. But there's a lot of conversation about operations, which is really positive. I think the fact that we've come out of COVID, everyone wanted to get out flying, experience left the businesses, processes weren't looked at, and demand is continuing to increase. There is definitely a need, and we're seeing all the troubles we see in the news about airlines and airports really struggling when it comes to operations. So it's not a bad time to be trying to solve that.
No, I agree. I mean, you know me, I've been thinking about entrepreneurship for the best part of 5-6 years, and I think before COVID, trying to do something in the operational world would have been incredibly difficult. And in fact, some of the questions that we're asked now, very, very valid, are, how do you prove the value of operational improvements? And I think before COVID, it would have been even harder, because trying to measure what is the value of OTP, I think you remember the discussions that we used to have around what is the value of a point of NPS.
Yes.
Now, actually, people are starting to become more acutely aware, given how fragile operations have been post-COVID, and how the bounce back has really, really surprised some companies and struggled to keep to, in essence, have a smooth operation. And I think now the focus has really changed. And so where before you were sort of having to try and quantify what is the cost of a disruption event, and how do you try and value, the number of disruption events versus the impact of the disruption events. How do you justify to finance functions that, this is the value that could be generated by making more effective decisions, by better communications. The common old age problem of a disrupted customer, their NPS is -50. And actually, if you could just tackle those customers in those times of disruption and handle them better, you could have a marked improvement in how the total NPS looks. Yeah. So I think the focus on operations now is far different than it was before COVID. I think companies are far more interested in actually trying to improve operations and can see the need and investment that's required to actually do so. So yeah, it's definitely the market is definitely there. Yeah.
And Opfyx, who's it targeted at? Is it airlines you're looking at? Is it airports?
So we're actually trying to do something across industry. I think so it's airlines, airports, ground handlers, and even ANSPs, because communication in particular for the entire industry is reliant on all parties. You can't just fix communication within one entity. The ground handler plays as integral a part as the flight crew or the cabin crew or an in-sourced ground team. Likewise with the airport authority, there is a huge amount of work that's been done in the past with collaborative decision making at airports and everything else. So the need to collaborate across the industry is vital. And in fact, just having solutions for one part of the industry won't solve the silos. And I think that's one of the things that's unique about us, is that we're trying to create solutions that will work across the industry to make sure that decision making, communication, data flows, optimization is done at the industry level to make sure that actually what is smooth for an airport is smooth for an airline, is smooth ultimately for the customer, because at the end of the day, the customer that's flowing through the airport is the same customer that's flowing through the airline. It's the same customer that's being handled, their luggage is being handled by a ground handler.
Yeah. So look, we want to be on this journey with you. We'd love to hear how it's going. So like I said, when I think about since April, tell me the 3 things you've learned that have really impacted you in the last few months since we last spoke.
That's a very good question. I'd say first and foremost, what I've learned is how hard it is to attract really good talent. We have been in a growth phase, so we've been looking to recruit, and actually it's a really, really tough labour market. I think especially for a startup, because the Venn diagram we're trying to play in is 1, people who understand the airline industry, 2, people who really have a passion and understanding of tech, and then 3rd is who's willing to take a risk and work for a startup, and that intersection is really, really, really difficult. So recruiting talent, I'd say first and foremost, is one of the toughest. I think the second one is probably resilience and kind of emotional resilience. It's like, how do you take the punches and the inevitable bad news that will come? Not everything is going to go your way. And I think that is something that has been a really, really useful lesson, and one that actually, what I really rely on is those who are around me who kind of support, and the support network that you have, and those who are kind of, picking you up sometimes when you're feeling a bit down about how things are going. So that sort of resilience piece is really, really, really critical. And I would say 3rd is actually how fast you can move and the freedom that you have. And sometimes you can get caught up in small decisions that suddenly become important, like what color scheme are you going to use on your branding, right? What picture are you going to use? Because suddenly everything becomes a decision, and everything is sort of being decided on. And so sometimes it's easy to get kind of lost in that. But the pace at which you can move and the speed at which you can make decisions is just remarkable. And you want to try something new, spool up a sandbox in AWS, and off you go. We're going to demo this. We're going to trial this. We want to think about a complete pivot in business model, experiment with different scenarios.
Which is something you've been desiring for a long time, from what I know. So actually the shackles are off. Yeah. But like you said, it's a balance, it's a counterbalance, because while the shackles are off, at the same time that pipeline of work or finding the talent is not so much. So whereas in your previous world, the talent might have been easier to attract. However, now
they arrive and they're handcuffed straight away. That's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. Yes,
everyone applauds that as well. Like, we're hearing the applause. So.
I think that's right. I think there are pros and cons to both worlds, right? I am massively enjoying it, and I think the ability to kind of have the blue sky thinking and the ability to actually experiment and trial and really try and revolutionize is huge, and I think that's really, really exciting. But yeah, you're right. Like you have different constraints that you didn't have when you were at a large corporate.
So look, we have viewers who are always interested in getting into the industry, and I'm sure in terms of the reach we have when it comes to people looking for tech in the industry, where can people find out more about Opfyx?
So www.opfyx.com. Our website has all of our details around what we're trying to do, our vision, what we're trying to achieve. But again, info@opfyx.com for anybody who's interested in joining the industry. In particular for us, the intersection between technology and the industry is where we're trying to play. Having expertise that can play in both of those areas. So anyone who's interested, please drop us a note. Always delighted to hear from them.
Perfect. Well, look. I know you want to get the most out of the last 3 hours here, and so do we. So look, it's always a delight to have you along. Like I said, it's always great to see how you're getting along, and we're going to keep checking back with you, whether you like it or not. You kind of came on the podcast at a time where we were also growing as well. So it will be great to kind of track that journey, and hopefully for you to share some positives that are coming your way as well, because I think the ability is clearly there, the vision is there. And hopefully now that we can see progress is coming as well in terms of execution. So genuinely, we're wishing you the very, very best, and we want to see you keep flying high.
Thank you very much. Love being on the show. So look forward to the next time.
Take care.
Thank you.